lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
After a wild and insane race at Lanier last week, we come now to a little bit bigger of a track, and a track with a ton of history. It is the Myrtle Beach Speedway in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, for round number 4 of the Super Late Model AI Series season. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese, and thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, as always, my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, this is a legendary racetrack with names such as Jeff Gordon, 4 generations of Petty, 3 generations of Earnhardt that have all cut their teeth right here at Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's a shame that this track went the way of the dodo bird, but at least we got it in iRacing still. And it's going to be fun to see what's going to go on here tonight, as this is one of the it's the second biggest track we've gone to so far this season.
Yep, it absolutely is. And as you just touched on the point that I wanted to make here, we've gone to, this being the 4th racetrack, we've gone to 2 3/8 of a mile tracks. We've gone to the 3/4 of a mile track at USA International. This track here, a half a mile, not quite as big as USA International for round 2 of the season, but these guys can definitely get their elbows out a little bit more than they were able to at the Bull Ring, and certainly last week at Lanier.
Right, and the only issue we might have is this track normally, at least in the corners, is a bottom feeder track. You can make some runs on the outside, but for the most part, you're going to see passes made on the inside, and if you get caught on that outside lane, you're probably going to get freight trained.
And in turns 1 and 2, we'll discuss it a little bit later on, but in turns 1 and 2, you can't get too low, otherwise you're going to have a ton of issues on your hands. But we'll go now to the point standings here for this season, and the names may have changed, but the points differential remains the same. It was Sean Woodside leading Tony Breedinger after 2 rounds of the season by 1 point. It is now Tanner Reif beating Walt Clough right now in the point championship by just 1 single solitary point. Jake Drew up there as well. Breedinger went from 2nd down to 4th. A ton of time in this season and a lot of close points battles all throughout the 27 drivers.
Yeah, absolutely, and that includes the tie for 8th that we currently have with Derek Griffith and Gio Scelzi.
Absolutely. Colby Howard just inside the top 10 as well as we go through the remainder of the point standings. Dominic Lopez, Derek Kraus towards the bottom. Same thing with Carson Quapple. Also Jeremy Doss down there. Ty Majeski in 15th, kind of in limbo. Corey Heim with his 3rd place finish jumped up 11 spots from last week at Lanier to here at Myrtle Beach. So there's a lot still to happen as this season progresses.
Yeah, Corey Heim jumped 11 spots, and our great friend from the Great White North, Wayne Stokes, jumping up 6 spots after last week's finish.
Quite a jump for some of these guys as we have about 30 seconds left here in the practice session, and right now sitting atop the time charts is the man who qualified on pole for the first ever race in this series, Trevor Huddleston. There he is in the number 51 as qualifying getting set to begin. A nice little start for that 51. 3 races, 3 different winners, 3 different pole winners. Huddleston, the first man to get the pole this season.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the perfect example of what I was talking about when I said if you get caught on that outside lane, you're probably going to get freight trained, as that's exactly what happened to Wayne Stokes there. Had that car not gone down pit road, gets a decent run coming off of 4, but keep your eye going through 1 and 2 right behind him, as the 12 is going to make the move on the 75. And that's probably what we're going to see all night.
Absolutely is. Practice session should be coming to a close any second now. We're about 30 seconds beyond the actual break time for the session. So any moment now, these guys should be done with this practice session. Yep, there it goes as it flips over now to qualifying. Guys all starting to jump onto pit road now, and there's the 91 of Ty Majeski, going to be one of the first ones to get out.
And like we say every week, it's going to be kind of difficult for us to follow along in qualifying because unlike when real world drivers are in a series, everybody goes out at the exact same time. So there's 27 cars on track right now, Frank.
Yep, there are a couple of guys coming out a little bit later than everybody else, but right now here is the 46 of Walt Clough. He's currently sitting in the second position in point standings. Wayne Stokes, fastest of all in the first sector, fastest of all in the second sector, currently on pole. Never mind, Austin Herzog goes to the top with an 18.15.
Well, Stokes on lap 2 was purple for a moment.
Woodside up to second. Stokes finishing his second lap. He will fall down to 7th. Derek Griffith to the point with a 1787. Nice. Great time for him.
Nice lap.
1789 for Walt Clough. Sean Woodside jumps up into 3rd as Jeremy Doss just finishes his second lap. Doss will go up to, goodness, where is he? Oh, 27th for Doss.
Derek
and that would
Krause on a ripper.
I think I think where everyone's done with their times here is there's Derek Krause. That lap will not count. He's already completed his 2 qualifying laps. And one thing you'll notice, pit road a little bit easier to get onto and get off of here than it was at Lanier.
For the first time this season.
And a lot more straightforward than what it was a couple of weeks ago.
It's easier to get onto and off of. It's easier to get onto and off of than it was at the Bull Ring, on and off of than it was at USA. This is the easiest pit road to get onto and off of that we've gone to so far this season.
Yep, and a heck of a lot more straightforward than it was at Lanier last week. So we now advance time and get to the race session here. We'll take a look now at the grid for tonight's race, and starting on pole with a time of 17.868 is Derek Griffith taking his first pole award of the season. Walt Clough missing out on the pole by just 2/100ths of a second. Sean Woodside and Derek Krause will make up row number 2. Cole Moore and Austin Herzog will sit in row 3. Tanner Reif and Corey Heim make up row 4, with Austin Maynard and Jake Drew in row 5. Andy Allen and Wayne Stokes will make up row 6. Row 7 goes to Colby Howard and Blaine Roca.
John Moore and Eddie McDonald going to roll off in row number 8. Row 9 sees Carson Quapple and Tony Breedinger. Gio Scelzi and Josh Berry rolling off in row 10, with row 11 going to Sammy Smith and Parker Traves. Ty Majeski and Dominic Lopez going to start it in row number 12. Row 13 sees Mark Wirtz and Trevor Huddleston. And starting shotgun on the field is going to be the 75 of Jeremy Doss. And, I just noticed, Frank, the top 17 separated by less than a tenth.
And this entire field separated by just a shade over a tenth and a half. So this is going to be one close race, as we've come to expect here from this series. Weather conditions here tonight on this 11th day of June 2022. 9-mile-an-hour winds blowing across a 67-degree ambient temperature, 70-degree track temperature. And this we're expecting to be the first true night race of the season. An 8 o'clock start time, the latest that we've had this season. So here at Myrtle Beach, this track has a completely different characteristic during the day than it does at night.
Yeah, but that wind has me a little bit worried right now. As you can see the flags flapping in the breeze. These guys are going to be catching a cross breeze coming out of 2 and out of 4. And that could wreak hell as they're trying to lay the power down.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we still have about 3 minutes to go here before we get rolling for these pace laps, as again, it's an unskippable 5 minutes as compared to 2 minutes in the overall, in the online, the regular iRacing for the grid. And as we mentioned, anyone can win at any given week, at any given time. Derek Griffith has not had the greatest of runs this season, nor has Derek Krause. both of those guys starting up in the top 4. Austin Maynard is right down there in the bottom 5th in points. He's going to be starting 9th on that inside line. Andy Allen also starting higher than he's started at any track this season so far. It's with the way this AI season is set up, it is going to be very hard to predict a winner week in and week out.
You are correct, but the one thing I have noticed is that those 2 blue and orange Fords are sitting back there both inside the top 10. And you know as well as I do, you get either one of them free and clean air. See ya.
Yep, absolutely. As we'll go through just to take a look and see just how dominant those two have been this season. Those two have led a combined 264 laps this season. Now, we have done a total of... Just 1 second here. Let me get my calculator out here while I have this here. So we'll do. We have done 500 laps total this season, and they've led a little bit more than half of the race of the run laps here in both the 9 and the 6. That is incredible, especially for random AI.
Shows you just how strong that team can be. And whenever they unload in the real world of motorsport, you know that they're going to be one of the cars you've got to get by for the victory.
Yes.
And they've been the bane of Derek Krause's existence for the past 5 seasons in the real world.
Absolutely. And I remember watching, ARCA races, finding ARCA races on Versus or on NBC Sports Network. It was always those 2 Sunrise Fords, the 6 and the 9, running line astern up at the front, and no one could catch them.
Except that Napa car.
Well, now, recently, yes, but it didn't...
since 2017 anyways.
Yeah, and it really doesn't seem to matter who they have behind the wheel of the 6 or the 9. They're going to be difficult to beat. As now cars are rolling off. Have to be very careful getting on and off the pit road here. We'll jump on board with Derek Griffith. Well, we'll do it again next time they come by. If you'll notice, there's not a wall on the inside of turns 1 and 2 that separates the racetrack from the apron. There are little bulbs, little notches, little speed bumps that separate the track from the apron. Those are modeled in. If you catch too much of the inside in 1 and 2 and you hit one of those, kiss your left front suspension goodbye.
Those are called speed dots, my friend.
Well, there you go. And there you see them right there, very clear, very plain. And you see just how close you have to get to those in order to be in the groove. But Tony, fun night ahead.
Very much so. As the field works its way down the back straightaway, the only thing that's left to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab a martini because it's time to get it on in Myrtle Beach. Race fans, it's showtime.
A great start for Derek Griffith, not wasting any time. Sean Woodside jumping up into the 2nd position, getting past Walt Clough. Cole Moore there as well. Austin Herzog jumping back to the outside of Tanner Reif in the 9, trying to make up some time.
Side by side about through the entirety of the field except for the front runner who is starting to walk away. Inside lane paying a little bit of dividends already as the 46 kind of getting shuffled back a little down the back straightaway, trying to get the run off of 4, still side by side with the 12 as they haul it off into turn number 1.
And this is another flat racetrack, so we're going to be seeing a lot of side-by-side running here. Lanier is deceptively banked. You can get and you can run multiple lanes at Lanier and feel safe enough. This track, very flat, kind of like Martinsville, difficult to run multiple lanes.
I would say it's more like Milwaukee. You get about a 5-degree banking in the corner. It's a relatively flat track, but it's not completely flat. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There's going to be a lot less of a stable feel, especially on that outside lane, compared to where we've been already this season.
You can see just how bumpy this racetrack is. We drive on board with Austin Maynard. It's a lot of rolling, a lot of patient driving we're seeing right now out of that 29 and that we're seeing out of the rest of the field.
Very much so, but they are still in lockstep with each other. They're still too wide throughout the entirety of the field, as the 29 and the 20 working on each other right now. And those two Sunrise Fords have both gotten to the bottom lane. That could spell big news for the rest of the field.
Absolutely. Derek Griffith has jumped out to a 2.3 second lead over Walt Clough, who has just now gotten clear of Sean Woodside and will get down to the bottom of the racetrack. That 46 now going to set sail and try to catch Derek Griffith, as Woodside has Derek Kraus now trying to battle up against him on the outside line, but Kraus now having to worry more about Sean Moore.
And Moore not afraid to stick it in there, though they both are running for Napa. Completely different teams, completely different budgets on those two cars, as they are still, Kraus on the outside of Woodside now. This is going to get interesting.
Kraus still battling, one guy moving up, slicing and dicing through his field. This field, the 92 of Wayne Stokes, going from the inside to the outside, moving around, trying to find somewhere to gain positions. He is +2. Not a lot of passing going on, but a lot of stalled out side-by-side racing. Wayne Stokes, our biggest mover of the race, at +2, at least going forward. Corey Heim, -4, our biggest mover going the other direction.
Well, Heim is known for late race runs, so he might be just trying to conserve a little bit of tire right now, as we've already got 10 in the books, and those two Sunrise Fords are now running stem to stern.
Right there on that inside. Right now, the 9 of Tanner Reif, as we had mentioned, coming into this race as the points leader. Jake Drew setting us second in points as we head into tonight's race. Or pardon me, Drew sitting in third, I believe. Did I say second or third?
Yes.
Okay.
Sitting in third. It's third.
As Woodside now still battling with Derek Kraus up here at the front. You can see Walt Clough has set sail and has now put the same distance on this pair as Griffith has put on him, about 2.1 seconds. Griffith has been uncontested since the drop of the green flag, but as we've seen through this series, once we get to the back and once we get to the AI cars, once we get to the back of the field to start lapping guys, these cars will start to bunch back up together.
And it actually cost a race win last week, because we saw the leader get out to a over 9-second lead and just could not pick his way through the lap cars in a timely fashion and got passed by second, third, and fourth.
As Woodside and Kraus battling side by side. These two have been side by side the entire race. Same thing with Cole Moore and Austin Herzog. These two have been side by side, but they're starting to gap this bigger pack here. Austin Maynard stuck on the outside. Tanner Reif on the inside, running right up against that wall on the inside line, trying to finally clear that 29 and go into turn one. He will.
But Frank, I mean, it's going to be hard to bet against those two Sunrise Fords.
Absolutely, it is. As we take a look off the back of Tanner Reif, see how bumpy this racetrack is and just how difficult it can be to lay the power down.
Well, I mean, the thing is, this is the oldest that this pavement has ever been. When it was scanned into the iRacing servers, they got to it just in time, luckily. But old asphalt, very difficult to get a handle on. But the older the asphalt, the better the racing seems to be, no matter what track we go to. I said the older the asphalt, the better the racing.
No, I know exactly what you said, and that was a cough in agreement.
Ah, gotcha.
As Derek Kraus has now finally gotten past and has gotten clear of Sean Woodside. Austin Herzog now looking to do the same with Cole Moore, and does. And Herzog now will drop in front of that 99, and he will take sole possession of that 5th position, still running side by side here in the mid-pack. This is 7th until about, jeepers, let's say the 21st position.
Yeah, I was going to say right around 20. But this is going to be bad news if that 9 gets free. Almost has the clear coming off of 4, going to dive it into 1, does get the clear, now is going to start to walk away like everybody in front of him has.
And you just saw the light dim down here at this racetrack. Sun going down, lights coming on, track getting a little bit darker. It's going to get a little bit more grippy as this race goes on. And you can see that rubber buildup already in lines 1 and 2 in these corners. It's only going to get quote-unquote easier for these guys to handle these cars.
It's going to get a little more grippy and a little more chippy as the race wears on as well, as we've already got 25, or working lap 25 of 175 here in the Super Late Model AI series presented by the eSports Broadcasting Network and Sim Racing Media. Tony Trapasso and Frank Marchese up in the booth with you tonight for round number 4 here at Myrtle Beach International. And, you know, this is one of those tracks that you said, Frank, has so much history to it that it's a shame that it no longer exists.
Yeah, absolutely. It hasn't been completely wiped off the face of the earth just yet. It is sitting abandoned at the moment, but the land currently not being owned, I believe. They're still looking for a buyer for the land that this racetrack currently resides on, and it's a shame. Again, a track that has so much history to have just completely get taken out as Wayne Stokes finally moves away from the outside, gets enough of a run on Jake Drew to be able to power down to the inside line. That 92 really making a move forward after finishing 26th and 27th in the first 2 races. Came home with a solid top 5 last week, and now looking to get back up into the top 5, currently running in 8th.
Well, I think that crew, when they get into the hotter weather, being as they are from the Great White North, we got into the hotter weather, hotter track conditions. They weren't able to adapt quite as well. Now that we're in the cooler conditions right now this week, again, track temperature at race start was just over 70 degrees, and the temperature's dropping. But, you know, Stokes is starting to get his season turned around. But, you know, unfortunately, you were talking about this track kind of abandoned. Very similar to the track over in Nazareth, Pennsylvania as well. The track still sits, but there's nothing going on there other than weeds growing up through the cracks.
And it's one of my favorite racetracks to drive in the old NASCAR Thunder games was Nazareth. Just a fun, quirky, unique track. Flat racetrack, kind of like Concord, but it did have its difference from Concord. Just a great, fun racetrack was Nazareth, and it's a shame that tracks like that just can't find a home after a while.
Yeah, I mean, ooh.
Eddie McDonald almost making it 3 wide there on Andy Allen in the 22 and Corey Heim in the 20.
Luckily thought better of it. Or else we were about to see our first caution here of the season.
Yeah, we've gone green flag racing for all 500 laps that have been run this season before at least going into tonight. Carson Quapple getting clear of John Moore in the 27 on the outside. Colby Howard there as well in the 81. The 24 of Dominic Lopez getting clear now and getting to the inside ahead of Tony Breedinger in the 25.
I just can't get over just the fact that we've seen these guys side by side since the drop of the green.
The entire race is Corey Heim starting to try to work his way back forward. Trying to get around Jake Drew, and will do just that, possibly, not quite yet.
Still working it, though.
There he goes.
20
Now he
finally
got
gets
it.
clear. McDonald looking to do the same thing. As, this is something we kind of expected. The inside lane was working on fresh tires. The outside lane starting to come into its own. You can see all the rubber laid down in that second lane so far. And the fact that, they've worn all the goodie off the tires by now. And you're up on the wheel. Now we're seeing that second lane start to pay dividends.
Almost 40 laps into this race now. He should be expecting pit stops between lap 80 and 90, right around the halfway point. We didn't see any odd, unique strategies at Lanier. Everyone took their one stop at around halfway and then went on. Maybe, just maybe, we'll see these guys start to get the strategy figured out, as Eddie McDonald has gotten clear of Jake Drew, who's now really starting to fall in that 6, and he's got that inside line.
No, he's not come off that inside line. He does have the clear coming off of 4. Still staying down on the low side, though, and I think that's what's costing him, as the double deuce working the outside of him right now.
It's Andy Allen trying to take over that 12th position right now. Up at the front, Derek Griffith is now starting to catch these guys, starting to catch the back of the field. He has not gotten there quite yet. There you see Ty Majeski and Jeremy Doss there. But looking at the delta to Walt Clough in second, that has come down. It was about 2.5 seconds. It's now gone down to 1.7 seconds, and it'll get a little bit closer here as Griffith gets closer and closer to the back end of this field as we work lap 45.
And Derek Krause, who's gotten free of Woodside, is now starting to quickly whittle away the gap to Clough as well.
Take a look here at the lap times between these two, and Derek Krause has been a full tenth and a quarter quicker than Walt Clough on each of the last 4 laps. There has not been a lap that's gone by in recent running that Krause, has been slower than Clough, as that 46 going to come under some serious fire here from the 19 in the not so distant future. Another 10th he took out.
Very much so, and Krause is starting to get his poop in a group, as they say, and his season's starting to turn around as he's had some good runs the last couple of weeks.
And Griffith has now officially caught the back end of this field, as Clough also now starting to reel in Griffith. We showed you the delta and how it stayed pretty consistent. Now you can see there's starting to be a drop-off here over these last couple laps, as they're starting to build a staircase on those last 5 laps of the delta instead of just a straight wall, as Clough's starting to get closer and closer. He's now pulled it to within a second.
Well, the biggest problem is the 12 right now is he's caught behind those 5 guys in front of him who are all racing for position amongst themselves. None of them want to give up an inch right now, although the outside lane is starting to move. You're probably going to see him go to the top side and continue that forward charge.
Sammy Smith, Gio Scelzi, Ty Majeski, Josh Berry, Jeremy Doss, all in this battle here. Battling at the very tail end of the field, as Derek Griffith starts to lap these guys on the high lane. 125 laps to go as we cross the line here, and Griffith has led each and every one of the 50 that have been completed. However, that might change soon, because here comes Clough.
Clough with a good head of steam. He's going to have to figure it out quick. And I don't think anybody wants to make it 3 wide, though we have seen 3 wide racing multiple times this season. I don't think anybody wants to make it 3 wide here tonight.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. That's especially with how you see it's a pain in the neck when you know how they make roads. They pave roads a lane at a time, and then there's the seam where the lane actually goes, the strike line for the lane actually goes. Watch here on the inside line. You see how that lane drifts up and out into the outside lane? You tend to want to follow that as a driver, and you know how annoying it gets when the actual lane of the road and the painted line start to cross over, and you're trying to find it. This is coming out not the way I expected it to.
I understand what you're talking about. Yeah.
You follow the lane of the road and not necessarily the lane that's painted on there. That's what you have to contend with coming out of these corners. That bottom lane, the painted lane, starts to meld out to that outside line and become the lane that you follow here.
Now, here's the thing, Frank. We are going to be going to Five Flags here in a couple of weeks down in Pensacola, Florida. Very similar track layouts. Both are half mile. The only thing is this one has a little bit of a D shape to it down the front straightaway. But very similar layouts. I think we're getting a prelude to what we're going to see when we go to the Snowball.
Battle for second here is Derek Kraus in the 19 on the inside lane, trying to push Jeremy Doss up and through to get around Walt Clough. And if he can do that, Kraus will have taken that second position. A couple of good racetracks coming up here over the next couple of weeks. North Wilkesboro will be our first 200-lap special of the season. Then we go to Sobo in a couple of weeks. Langley coming up in the next 3 weeks as well. So a lot of great racetracks and classic racetracks when you think of short track racing across America coming up here in the super late model schedule, and tracks that you don't see get too much play in leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, South Boston actually holds a special place in my heart. That was the first race I ever went to as a crew member on a USAR Hooters Pro Cup team back in the early 2000s. So a lot of good memories from that facility.
There you go. Austin Herzog. A lot of this field now, this is something we haven't seen this season. A lot of this field has separated, actually. Austin Herzog has jumped up to fourth. Tanner Reif in a little pocket. He's about 2 seconds behind Herzog, but a second ahead of Wayne Stokes. Stokes has the 45 behind him. Now, Sean Woodside has come into the pits. Same with Cole Moore, Austin Maynard, Sammy Smith. So the 45 not for position. Corey Heim a further 3 seconds behind Stokes. Eddie McDonald right there for position. These guys have spread out here today.
Yeah, that's very uncommon to have as big of gaps as we're seeing, especially with semi-clean air sitting there. At the tail end of the field, you kind of expect them to get bunched up like they are. But for the most part, we usually see close action as the 50 bails out. Trevor Huddleston coming down pit road. So it looks like 64 laps is all you're going to be able to get out of a tank and go fast. Maybe we're going to see some guys try to stretch it out to 70.
Plus Quapple down pit road as well. Andy Allen hitting pit road here. So, yeah, it's looking like it's going to be another two-stop race the way we saw at USA International. There are only 50% fuel fill for these cars here, so we will get a couple of stops here during these races. Mix the field up and spread it out just a little bit. Try to find some racing as Walt Clough has now gotten into the same lane as Griffith, that inside line. Derek Kraus right there as well. 1, 2, 3 on your screen in the inside lane. 12A 4619 as Carson Quapple now joins the fray coming out of pit road.
Well, the 12 is actually able, with the 8 running where he is, the 12 is actually able to come up on the back straight to kind of arc turns 3 and 4, and that's what's keeping that advantage for the race leader so far.
Here's Derek Kraus, the 24 of Dominic Lopez, comes down pit road. I think that was the 24 that followed him in. As Derek Kraus, there you see him right there, riding on board with Derek Kraus. There is Griffith, as Kraus has taken over that second spot away from the 46 of Clough, now side by side with the race leader, Griffith.
Yeah, the only problem is it's like if a dog chasing a car, once he gets it, what's he going to do with it? Because there's no hole in front of him. Kraus now gets the gap coming into turn 3.
He's got it.
He does have the lead, as the 8 works around the 55. 55 struggling on that low side right now. Kraus, your new leader. Here comes the 12 back on him, and they're 3 wide. Good grief.
55 of Mark Wirtz has not come into pit. That is not the same as side-by-side onto pit road go the 12 and the 46. Second and third pitting side-by-side with each other. Austin Herzog, Wayne Stokes also coming into pit road. But right now, Derek Kraus has a 4 1/4 second lead over Tanner Reif, who have not come into pit yet. As there's Parker Traves, Jake Drew, all coming down pit road for their first stops of the day.
Now, the 35 on fresh skins, which is why he was able to make it 3 wide. But it looked like there was contact between the 12 and the 45 coming onto pit road.
That would not surprise me, as Derek Kraus has
46,
Derek Kraus
sorry.
still sitting in pit road. Corey Heim and Eddie McDonald coming out of pit road in a flip reversed order from where they came in. There goes Griffith and Clough in the same order. There's Tony Breedinger coming in, Gio Scelzi, Josh Berry following. Derek Kraus right now has the inside line. How much longer until he comes down pit road?
He not only has the inside line, he also has the clear. But 35, a little bit better, fresher tires. Looks like Kraus coming in this time.
Yep, here he comes now. Kraus into pit road following Colby Howard in the 81. And we just saw Mark Wirtz getting lapped in the 55. He is now next in line to take over the race lead here, unless he comes down pit road right now, which I believe he will. Yes, he does.
There he goes peeling off, which is going to be a slight reprieve for Kraus right now.
This will leave the door open for Sean Woodside to take the lead of this race. Woodside came in on lap 53, so 22 laps ago that 45 came in, and that has moved him up the field. He has actually jumped the 12 of Griffith, as now Griffith battling for second with Cole Moore in the 99 as Kraus comes off of pit road.
Yeah, it looked like the 12 was looking to make it 3 wide there for a second, thought better of it. But, yeah, no quarter asked for, no quarter given here tonight at Myrtle Beach. As, you know, this is what we've come to expect out of this AI series. A lot of hard racing, a lot of clean racing, and, you know, it's the virtual pit crew is basically what's been winning or losing these races for these guys.
Absolutely. So Sean Woodside currently has the race lead by 2 seconds over Derek Griffith. Cole Moore, who came in on lap 51, currently occupies the 3rd position. Derek Kraus has been able to jump Walt Clough in the pit cycle. Those guys make up 4 and 5 in your top 5, and they're about to swap positions now as Clough gets the outside. But it's Sean Woodside currently leading as we approach halfway here at Myrtle Beach.
Has Woodside been down pit road yet?
Woodside has. Lap 53, Woodside went down pit road. We'll take a look.
Okay.
There you go. There's the pit strategy for the top 5.
All right, so we know they can get 74 out of a tank of Go Fast.
At least.
At least.
So we are going to have to pit one more time here.
Yes, we are. And we're expecting that next round of pit stops to happen right around lap 140 to 150 in that general area. But, I mean, we're getting spoiled again here, Frank, as side-by-side clean racing all night long. You know, and it's kind of refreshing to see this after some of the events of late, especially what happened in the Real World Cup Series on Sunday.
Yep, there you go. So Derek Kraus now making his way past Cole Moore, so that will demote Moore to 5th. Walt Clough up to 3rd, Kraus in 4th. Woodside's lead from 2 seconds has now shrunk down to 1 second. We are hitting the halfway point here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Sean Woodside, your current race leader. Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series. I had to get mine out of the way.
Back here at Myrtle Beach, just about 75 laps to go. What you're seeing right now is the battle for second as the 12 of Derek Griffith, who has led a majority of this race, now having to really deal with Walt Clough in the 46 on that inside lane, able to move up and down. Kraus is not, and now Clough is not either. Derek Kraus on the outside line now behind the 16 of Gio Scelzi. Your second, third, and fourth all in this little gaggle of cars.
Amazing running that we've been seeing here tonight at Myrtle Beach, Frank, as we now have officially done, at the end of this lap, 600 laps on this season, my friend.
Caution-free, each and every single one of them. Is Sean Woodside, as we had mentioned before the break, came into pit on lap 53, and with that has been able to catch clean air and the race lead through the pit cycle. Woodside looking for his first win of the season and looking to get back into the championship points lead after having a very poor run at Lanier last week, trying to get back up to the top.
How's that phrase go? Old age and treachery will overcome youth and exuberance every day.
Absolutely. And we were speaking about it. Woodside was the only driver in the season to have finished in the top 5 in both races prior to Lanier. He very much did not finish in the top 5 at Lanier, and back here again up towards the top as Clough really starting to put pressure on the inside of Derek Griffith, as Derek Kraus kind of boxed in here around cars that are not on his lap.
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate as he's about to get worked over and lose another spot, as those two guys running for second in front of him. It's got to be eating Kraus alive right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cole Moore starting to jump up there as well. And we showed just before we came back from break the trio of Austin Herzog, Wayne Stokes, and Tanner Reif running line astern by themselves. They have now caught the back end of this group as Stokes jumps up to the outside, trying to get position on Herzog to get himself into 6th.
Well, it's getting to that time in the run where that outside lane is going to start to pay higher and higher dividends as they work their way around. Right now, Stokes not able to really capitalize a ton because Herzog is just full sending it on the inside.
Absolutely is. As we take a look back up at Sean Woodside, a 2-second lead for him. Walt Clough still stuck behind Jeremy Doss in the 75. Can't quite get around him. But now the guys that were blocking in Kraus have gotten away from him and are now starting to converge on Walt Clough, as Gio Scelzi, Mark Wirtz, and Dominic Lopez have all started to engulf the 46 of Clough. Now Kraus, who's been able to break free, has been able to jump up and get away from the guys that he was battling with.
And just like that, he's back with the 55, the 16. And, these guys have not gotten that far away from each other since the pit stop, as
Clough able to start taking a racing line. Same thing with Derek Griffith, as he has now finally gotten around the 75 of Jeremy Doss. And unfortunately for Sean Woodside now, who is stuck behind Blaine Roca and Tony Breedinger, doesn't really matter because here comes Woodside down pit road. Remember, he came in on lap 53 on the first set of pit stops. Now naturally one of the first ones to come into pit here. He might have left himself short here with 64 laps to go.
Well, we know you can get 75 out of a tank because we saw Kraus do it. So this could be money stop time. He could be on an early pit strategy to try to use those fresh tires and take as much as he can early on in the final run.
So Derek Griffith has re-inherited the race lead. Walt Clough second, Derek Kraus third. Austin Herzog in the 11 has gotten himself up to 4th, as Cole Moore has come into pit as well. He was one of the guys that also came in around lap 50. So that pit strategy playing out just the same. And now Wayne Stokes looking at the inside of the 11 for 4th. Can't quite get it. Now he's about to come under fire from Tanner Reif in the 9.
Stokes with a new pit crew this week, I just found out. He's got a guy named Jim on gas and 2 guys named Jim changing tires.
Oh, there you go. Anything that can help. And he made a couple of changes last week at Lanier, and it certainly helped. Now this week, rolling forward as well, Sammy Smith in the 51 coming out of pit road. And makes it 3 wide with Colby Howard and Austin Herzog.
ZFG.
Wow. And that forces Herzog to bail out and now fall in behind Colby Howard. Now jump under Howard.
Working lap 116, getting ready to put 116 in the books here at Myrtle Beach. Thank you so much for making this part of your evening. as you are watching the Super Late Model AI series presented by Sim Racing Media and the eSports Broadcasting Network. Tony Trapasso, Frank Marchese up in the booth with you here for round number 4 at Myrtle Beach. And we have seen a ton of great racing already tonight, haven't we, Frank?
Absolutely.
Huh?
We absolutely have, as Wayne Stokes now looking to the inside while trying to maintain his position on Tanner Reif. There is Sean Woodside pushing forward. Josh Berry there as well. Berry and Woodside not battling for position. Woodside a lap behind the 8 of Berry. As Derek Griffith still maintaining his 1 second lead over Walt Clough. Clough still has the 75 between himself and the 12. And just a word of note, no pole sitter this season has won a race thus far. So Griffith not in the best position for that statistic right now.
So you're saying we are seeing a pole sitter's curse?
At least for now.
Well, who's going to be the first one, and when are we going to see it? Let us know in the live chat what you're thinking as far as who could possibly pull that one off, and what round do you think they're going to do it in?
Wayne Stokes starting to push back a little bit on the inside as Tanner Reif has that momentum on the high line. Reif just still can't quite get enough of a run coming out of these corners in order to clear that 92, as now it looks like he might. No.
It's holding up Woodside behind him.
Yep, he is. And Woodside again on fresh tires. Closest battle on track, the highest up the field, as Tanner Reif is starting to inch closer and closer to getting around that 92. Persistence on that outside really paying off right now for Reif as he finally does get around the 92 of Stokes.
And the question is, how quickly can the 45 dispatch of the 92? Because there it is, Stokes coming in this time.
Yep, Stokes coming into pit road. Derek Griffith still a second ahead in the lead of this race. Now trying to put Blaine Roca a lap down. Trevor Huddleston down pit road in the 50 as well. Blaine Roca running in 13th position right now. Last car on the lead lap at the moment. But that will change as one more round of pit stops still remains. Derek Kraus in.
There we go. We've seen a couple come down for the money stop already. Kraus was the last one to come in the first stint. One of the first to come in the second stint, maybe trying to change it up from what they learned in that first segment.
Now, depending upon, you got to watch Sean Woodside here. There is Woodside, because if he comes out behind Woodside, that would mean he's coming out behind the race lead. So we are expecting Woodside to come out of this with the race lead just as he did last time through. There's Doss coming out of pit road. Eddie McDonald coming in, Corey Heim coming in. Walt Clough pits from second. Would be very nice for the 19 of Kraus to be able to jump Clough as well, as now here comes Griffith to cover off the 46.
And that's what we generally see. Somebody comes down pit road towards the front of the field. Everybody else follows suit to cut off the undercut.
There's Austin Herzog in the 11, runner-up finisher in the season opener at Las Vegas. Leading the race now, Tanner Reif, John Moore, Ty Majeski, Andy Allen, Tony Breedinger, Gio Scelzi, Josh Berry, all coming down pit road now as well. Top 6 right now currently running: Austin Herzog, Jake Drew, Blaine Roca, Dominic Lopez, Mark Wirtz, and Colby Howard have not come into pit. Scratch that for Wirtz. You just saw him. There he is coming down pit road now.
so Word's going to relinquish the lead lap. Woodside currently sitting 1 lap down in 7th is your effective race lead.
And Woodside just passed Derek Griffith. He just passed Derek Kraus. So Woodside and Cole Moore currently your top 2 runners, your effective first and second when this round of pit stops ends. Derek Kraus with a big lead right now over Walt Clough, about 2 seconds. The gap between the 19 and the 46. Derek Griffith had a 29-second pit stop, almost a minute down pit road from cone to cone. Griffith has fallen all the way to 11th. That would put him 8th when the pit cycle completes.
Looks like they may have had a little bit of issue there on that pit stop. It didn't look like the rear tire changer was able to get all 5 lugs hit proficiently. I think one went spattering across pit road, to be honest with you.
That is so a great run for Derek Griffith, and as we had mentioned, no pole sitter has won a race yet this season, and it looks as though that will continue as Eddie McDonald battling with him now side by side in the number 17 MA machine.
Yeah, McDonald, New England native, is been in this situation numerous times. Matter of fact, long line of racing in that family up in the New England area. As we watch Blaine Roca working it now, the Oakdale, California native.
Effective race leader now is the 98 of Blaine Roca, as Austin Herzog came down pit road last time through. As Woodside now has just gotten around Herzog for position. Woodside with a 2-second lead over Cole Moore, and Derek Kraus right there as well. As Blaine Roca now comes down pit road, this will effectively give the race lead over to the 45 of Woodside.
It'll give it to him next time by anyways.
Yep, it will.
Because you are going to go at least 1.5 laps down by the time you're done pitting. But, you know, it goes back to what we were talking about after the first round of pit stops. Old age and treachery paying dividends here tonight.
Derek Kraus looking to the outside of Cole Moore. Riding on board with Moore. Now we'll flip over to Kraus.
Napa on Napa crime.
2 teammates with the McAnally group. And Derek Kraus makes it look easy around the outside of Cole Moore. Now Kraus will take a look at the pit stop, the pit strategy between these 2 teams. Woodside and Moore coming in on lap 110. Kraus on 127. Kraus has the tire advantage.
He does, but there's not that much racing left to do. He's got to hope that 45 gets mired in lap traffic, and I don't think he's going to be.
Woodside is...
At least not anytime soon.
No, he's got clear racetrack ahead of him for the moment. He's got about a backstretch length to go before he catches up to this group here, which consists of John Moore in the 27, Andy Allen in the 22, Jake Drew and Sammy Smith. All of these guys battling for position from 15th to 18th.
This is the lowest we've seen Drew all season.
Yep, absolutely. And again,
And that's surprising.
The guy coming in 3rd in points. That's what we said. Anyone can win at any given week. Which means anyone can finish anywhere in any given week. Ty Majeski up to 13th. We saw him running at the back of the pack, battling with Corey Heim for 12th.
Majeski's not had a good season so far. You know, he's been at the tail of most of the fields, and you know, very uncharacteristic of Majeski. You know, being he cut his teeth on super late models.
focusing on the Xfinity and truck rides he's got.
Absolutely, and I can't say I blame him.
Absolutely not.
Tony Breedinger back in 23rd. That's the lowest we've seen her all season as well.
Yep, she has not had a good run here today. Started in the 18th position, has gone nowhere but backwards here tonight. Tanner Reif, she is not battling with Reif for position. Reif is running in 5th at the moment, and Woodside in serious danger as Derek Kraus has gotten all the way up. He's closed that 2-second gap to Woodside. It's now a half a second.
Well, he's been following the 75 for the past couple of laps, and the two of them have just been marching forward. Now the question is the 75 going to get his lap back the hard way?
It's a consistent staircase, or at least it was before Kraus had gotten up to the 75, and Jeremy Doss has been in front of Kraus for a vast majority of this race, holding him up. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kraus jump up to the outside here. Still have 25 to go, so he's got time to make whatever move he's going to make. But still, you don't want to wait too long, and that 75 has been right there around him all race.
The 75 has shown shades of brilliance here tonight. It's just some of the times when he gets side by side, he gets sketched. Very kind of twitchy and scared, which is uncommon out of that car.
Running on board again with Sean Woodside. And yep, there goes Kraus looking to the outside, at least for the moment. Can't get quite there just yet to the 75. And also have to remember, I don't know how, if you're Kraus, you have to push. But you came in 17 laps earlier than Woodside did. Does Woodside have to pit a third time here tonight?
I hope not. I think he was early pitting to get those tire advantages. We've seen out of most of the field, you can get around 70 laps, and he came in with 65 to go. So we shouldn't, unless something is horribly wrong, we shouldn't see the 45 back down pit road.
Ran 53 laps and then 57 did the 45 before coming in. Walt Clough now putting pressure on Cole Moore for the final step of the podium. A good result here, as we're seeing right now from Clough, very well will give him the points lead over Tanner Reif. Reif running in 5th, about 2.5 seconds behind Walt Clough, as Clough almost gets run over by the 24 of Dominic Lopez, as Derek Kraus has now jumped to the outside. He's gotten side by side with Jeremy Doss. He has now cleared him, and with 20 laps to go, 19 about to be 18, Kraus cleared a race, that 45.
And if I was a team owner for Woodside, if that car comes back down pit road tonight without the checkered flag in hand, I'm firing the entire pit crew.
We have had some unique pit strategies play out at the Bull Ring and at USA International. We went without any odd strategies last week, but if he does come in within the next couple of laps, it would go with the pit strategy that we have seen Woodside deploy all night long. We know he can get more, but he has not done more than 57 laps, and we're inching closer and closer to that point.
And again, I think the only reason we saw him pit early was to get the tire advantage and get that undercut, which we've seen all season long. First one down pit road usually ends up with the race lead once everything cycles out.
He's done 50 to this point. If he pits, say, lap 57, he will be 8 laps short of the finish.
And again, like I mentioned, if that car comes down pit road without the checkered flag in hand, or before the checkered flag flies, I should say, I'm firing the whole pit crew, because your fuel calculations are garbage.
Defensive line for Woodside down the front straightaway, trying to battle with Kraus. And we've seen this all season long. We've had great races up here at the very end. Myrtle Beach showing to be no different.
Kraus right now just taking note of where Woodside's running as now he goes to the high side. He's looking. We've seen Kraus make those moves on the top lane all night long, not afraid to go up there. Woodside's been hugging the bottom all night.
Jeremy Doss falling further and further away from these guys. Now Cole Moore and Walt Clough are 2.5 seconds behind this pair, so those two will not factor into the finish unless these two make contact, which, let's be honest here, we haven't seen any of that this season thus far.
First time for everything.
Yep, absolutely. Is Kraus. It's like he may be falling back a little bit, trying to maybe, hopefully, cool those tires down to make one final run.
Which we've seen him do before, as now he closes back up, coming off a 2. As he is still applying the pressure to Woodside. Woodside, though, not flinching yet, as we are 9 to go now at the stripe. Woodside leads Kraus by about a car length and a half. Trying to figure it out, and Kraus just going to school right now, figuring out where's Woodside running, what do I need to do to pass him.
See the lap times within 1/10 of a second each way. This time it was 100th of a second. Woodside a little bit faster that last circulation of this racetrack.
Kraus with a good run coming off of 4. Woodside with a little bit better, though, on the low lane.
Kraus 300.
Just how much rubber's been laid down in both lanes tonight. And Kraus is running out of time. He's got to make something happen quick.
Yes, he does. 6 laps to go as we hit the line. Boy, oh boy. You'd have to think Kraus is going to have to make a move here. He should have 17 lap better tires than the 45. Turn 3 looks to be where Kraus has got the advantage.
Well, it's from turn 2 off. He closes the gap coming off of 2. You can see it there. It was 3 car lengths, now down to 2. And he's able to get into 3 so much better. But with 4 to go at the stripe, Kraus has got to make his move now.
It's a little bit slower than Woodside there as Kraus takes the right down on the line that lap and makes a big gain towards the 45. 3 to go at the line.
He's chipping at it. Can Woodside hold on? We're about to see as Kraus looks to that second lane. And that did not work at all.
Turn 1 and 2, he's got to stay low.
Gave it all up.
Yep, over these next 2 laps, and that was a big advantage there for the 45 of Woodside.
Looks like Kraus is skating the front end whenever he does get close.
Sean Woodside looking to hold him off here. 1 more lap to go. Can Kraus make a last gasp effort here to take victory into turn 1? A solid run for Kraus on the inside line. He's going to have to make a big move coming into turn 3. He is not close enough. Sean Woodside will come across the line and take victory here at Myrtle Beach.
Derek Kraus does hang on for second, Moore in third. Clough and Griffith rounding out your top 5. Tanner Reif, for the first time in 2 weeks, has not finished inside the top 5. Kind of surprising out of the 9, but take a top 10.
Say that. He finished 6th, so it's not like he finished in 20th.
No, but still,
But veteran experience pays off for Sean Woodside as the 51-year-old able to outwit the 18-year-old.
Old age and treachery will overcome youth and exuberance every day.
And it did. As Sean Woodside becomes the 4th unique winner on the season. what a race we saw here tonight. And for the first time this season, we see first and second go head-to-head without lap traffic intervening. What a race.
Yeah, very much so. And, that whole team with the 16 and the 99, they've got to be real proud putting two of them on the podium here tonight.
Absolutely. As racing action will come to a close here tonight from Myrtle Beach, 175 laps. Can't wait to do it next week as we head for the first 200 lapper of the season at Wilkesboro. It's going to be one heck of a show at one of the most legendary tracks you can find on the NASCAR circuit.
One of the most legendary tracks you can find in the iRacing server. Just so much history has been written at North Wilkesboro. It's going to be fun to see how that one does play out. But Frank, what do you say we give a rundown of the finishing order tonight?
I think that would be a very good idea, as we will take a look now at the results here for tonight's race. Sean Woodside takes the victory, his first of the season. Derek Kraus comes up 0.2 of a second short. Cole Moore able to hold off Walt Clough to finish on the podium. Derek Griffith, who had that bad pit stop on the final stop, jumped from 8th all the way up to 5th. So the man who led the most laps here tonight comes home with a top 5 finish. Tanner Reif, Wayne Stokes, Austin Herzog, and Austin Maynard come home, and Eddie McDonald come home in the top 10. Carson Quapple, a nice result for him. Corey Heim, Ty Majeski, John Moore, and Jake Drew round out the top 15.
Andy Allen, Trevor Huddleston, Sammy Smith, Jeremy Doss, and Dominic Lopez round out your top 20. Blaine Roca, not the night he was hoping for, did lead a lap here tonight, comes home in 21st. Mark Wirtz in 22nd. Parker Traves, Tony Breedinger, Gio Scelzi rounding out your top 25. Josh Berry and Colby Howard rounding out your finishing cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great race coming up next week. Please be sure to join us at North Wilkesboro for round number 5 of this 16 race season. We hope you've enjoyed this season thus far. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and definitely leave your feedback on this AI series and what you want to see for season 2. We've been throwing around ideas. We want to focus on more of a road course season for next season. Also keep in mind what is and what is not AI usable coming up here on the service, and things have changed since the June season 3 update that has come out. But for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening here tonight, and we will see you next week from North Carolina and the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Good night, everybody.